High in the folds of the Himalayas, where prayer flags flutter in the wind and monasteries cling to mountain cliffs, a small kingdom dares to ask a timeless question: what truly makes a life worth living? In Bhutan, the answer is neither profit nor production. Here, happiness is not a fleeting emotion, it is national policy. As the world barrels forward chasing growth, Bhutan walks a different path, one rooted in balance, mindfulness, and meaning. While global powers obsess over quarterly earnings and economic rankings, one country is staging a quiet rebellion. Bhutan, a nation the size of Maryland, has defied the norms of modern development by embracing a radical concept that the ultimate measure of success is not GDP, but gross national happiness. This is not a slogan. It's a structured system, a constitutionally protected ideal, and a bold challenge to the way we think about progress in the 21st century. Global GDP has more than tripled in the past 50 years, yet studies show that people, on average, aren't any happier. Anxiety is rising, communities are fraying, the planet is warming. In the race for economic growth, something vital has been lost. Enter Bhutan. This small Himalayan kingdom asked a powerful question decades ago. What if national development wasn't just about having more, but about living better? The result: gross national happiness, an alternative model now drawing attention from economists, policymakers, and environmentalists across the globe. In a world driven by profit margins and economic indicators, one tiny Himalayan kingdom stands as a gentle but powerful outlier. Bhutan, a country of just over 700,000 people, has taken a radically different approach to development, one that places the happiness and well-being of its citizens at the center of national policy. This is the story of gross national happiness, GNH. A philosophy rooted in ancient wisdom, yet increasingly relevant to modern life. A different kind of vision. The story of GNH begins in 1972, when Bhutan's fourth king, Jigme Singye Wangchuck, made a bold declaration. Just 16 years old at the time of his coronation, he told a visiting journalist, "Gross national happiness is more important than gross domestic product." At the time, the concept seemed almost whimsical. The world was locked into the logic of GDP, the gold standard for measuring national progress. But King Jigme was serious. He believed that true development could not happen through material growth alone. He envisioned a nation where economic advancement would support, not override, spiritual, cultural, and ecological well-being. The pillars of happiness. Since then, Bhutan has built an entire development philosophy around this concept. Gross national happiness is not a vague ideal, it is a structured policy framework built on four main pillars. 1. Sustainable and equitable socio-economic development. 2. Conservation of the environment. 3. Preservation and promotion of culture. 4. Good governance. These are further broken down into 9 domains, including health, psychological well-being, time use, education, cultural diversity, and ecological resilience. Every major government policy is evaluated through a GNH lens to ensure it aligns with these values. In 2008, Bhutan even enshrined GNH into its national constitution, committing future governments to the pursuit of happiness as a guiding principle of state. Happiness is very serious business in Bhutan, quipped Dashokama Ura, president of the Center for Bhutan Studies, in a BBC interview. It is not a feel-good slogan, it is a goal backed by data, research, and policy. How GNH works in practice: Bhutan conducts periodic GNH surveys to measure national well-being. These include questions not just about income and housing, but about spiritual practices, sleep quality, work-life balance, and even the sense of community and belonging. Policies are then adapted based on the findings. For example, Bhutan has kept carbon emissions remarkably low and aims to remain carbon neutral, The country protects more than 70% of its land under forest cover and bans certain industries to maintain environmental integrity. Education and healthcare are provided for free, and traditional arts and cultural practices are actively supported. When the global COVID-19 pandemic hit, Bhutan's response drew international praise. The government mobilized quickly, offering free vaccinations, mental health support, and food assistance. Many citizens credited this rapid and compassionate response to the GNH framework. Why the world is paying attention. In recent years, Bhutan's GNH model has garnered global curiosity and admiration. As mental health issues, climate crises, and inequality challenge nations worldwide, Bhutan's holistic approach seems not only relevant, but essential. The United Nations has taken notice. In 2011, Bhutan sponsored a resolution titled Happiness towards a holistic approach to development, which was unanimously adopted by the UN General Assembly. Since then, March 20th has been celebrated globally as the International Day of Happiness. Bhutan's example reminds us that progress must account for the human spirit and the health of our planet, said former UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon. Even in the business world, the concept is gaining traction. Companies and economists are exploring ways to incorporate well-being into success metrics. Scholars at Harvard, Yale, and Oxford have studied Bhutan's model for insights into redefining prosperity in the 21st century. Challenges and realities. Of course, Bhutan is not without its challenges. Youth unemployment is rising, and rural to urban migration strains traditional ways of life. Critics argue that the country's strict media regulations and cautious modernization may stifle some freedoms. Others point out that translating subjective well-being into concrete policy remains a difficult task. Still, Bhutan acknowledges these growing pains. It is not claiming perfection, but it is offering an alternative vision. In a rapidly changing world, that alone is worth listening to. A quiet revolution in progress. Bhutan may be small in size, but its philosophical influence is outsized. It challenges the idea that a nation's greatness must be measured in dollars and cents. It dares to ask, what is the purpose of development if not happiness? As more countries grapple with burnout, ecological collapse, and societal fragmentation, Bhutan's quiet revolution is gaining relevance. Perhaps in the end, the most radical act a country can take is to place the well-being of its people and its planet above all else. We are not against economic development, King Jigme Singye Wangchuck once said. We just want to make sure that it doesn't come at the cost of happiness. Here is a controversial question. So, if you had the power to shape your country's future, which would you choose? A system like Bhutan's gross national happiness, where well-being, culture, and nature take precedence over profits? Or the globally dominant gross domestic product model, focused on economic growth and financial power? Is it better to be a wealthy nation with unhappy people or a happy nation with modest means? Can happiness be a policy, or is that just idealism in disguise? Please your thought and your choice in the comment below.